Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because life is short. I'm working on a new tagline. Because life is short and... What's the word? What could be a good second part of that tagline? Because life is short and we want to make the most out of it. Or we want to upgrade the quality of our life. Or... Mara?
Then you die?
Because life is short and you die. It's filled with pain and heartbreak, and we don't want to go there too much. Good morning. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam, because life is short and you die, and life is painful.
I think we got to keep working on that.
That's depressing.
Okay, it'll work. All right. By tomorrow, I'm going to have something really sharp and shiny.
We got a couple on the chat board. Life is short and your spirituality can't wait.
Okay,
Or-
very nice.
Something.
Life is short and you don't want another one.
Oh,
That's
that's
another
interesting.
way to
I'm
look
sure
at
you
it.
don't want another one. Okay. Kaustubha, everything good? Kaustubha, everyone knows that today is the last weekend of teacher training, and Kaustubha's coming up here. So Mara's going to be here. Kaustubha's going to be here. It's going to be like
Bobby?
Bobby?
Yeah.
Oh, Bobby. I was
Bobby's
like,
gonna be up there.
Bobby Marchand. Excited.
Everything's good. Why don't we mention what we got going on Patreon today?
At 10 a.m., Ananda Devi is teaching an asana class on Warrior
Ananda
Sage
Devi.
Fitness. Yeah.
Warrior
Everybody loves their
Sage.
classes.
Fitness.
Warrior Sage Fitness.
All right. Sounds fascinating.
Um,
And then Sunday,
Sunday we have Gauranga Das.
Gauranga, who's going to talk about the principles behind the training of the monks at the Chaupati Temple.
we call him Gauranga Prabhu, Mara.
Sorry.
We call ourselves like Raghunath Das, but we call others their name Prabhu. Like I don't call myself Raghunath Prabhu. That would be like it's Raghunath the Master. That doesn't sound.
But I think Mara was just
others.
She was like just giving it the official
I'm
title.
trying to educate her, Kaustubha.
Yeah, but I'm cutting her some slack.
Educate her.
Cutting her some slack because it said like Gauranga Das. Otherwise, it's gonna be.
You don't understand. Mara comes here to Super Soul and she's like, please instruct me in your ways of wisdom. And I'm like, well, I don't want to get too. She's like, please. And so I try to do that out of
As
love.
publicly as possible.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't ask for it in front of hundreds of people.
It's thousands of people, Mara.
Raghunath knows it goes deeper that way. You know?
It goes much deeper and sharper. So that's great. It's a great weekend.
I'm looking forward to that interview. He's got so much to share. So
He's a great soul. And sometimes people think when they think a monk, they think, oh, this sort of laid back guy doing nothing, walking around chanting. This guy's running things. He's creating stuff. He's organizing hundreds of people. He's like, it's a very delicate balance between being a sadhu and just doing stuff in the world. And Radhanath Swami's like this. They're like big leaders, empowered leaders, but there's an artful dance they do, whereas they lead, but they're somehow detached and they're fully responsible, and they still have time. This is the whole self-care thing. It's not like they're going out and getting their nails done, but I'm not picturing Gauranga Prabhu getting his nails done, but they have that real special self-care where they just take care of their spirit. It's cut out in the day. This is where they do their meditation, their self, before they start getting on the phone and calling people and ordering, concrete to be delivered to create a structure. They take this sacred time in the beginning and the middle of the day, and therefore they just sort of like, or beginning and the end of the day, and therefore during the course of the day they got so many things going out there, but they're just sort of floating above it. It's a real incredible art, especially if you're working in the world, right?
Yeah, I think it's only if you're working in the world, because you were talking about the balance between the spiritual life and the working in the world.
Yes.
But in any case,
whereas you could
but no,
be
I appreciate what you're saying.
Well, you could be like a quintessential sadhu who's supposed to be like walking around and chanting, but you're really just like, you're not accomplishing anything. You're not living up to your potential. We have this body as a gift for potential, and in bhakti, we use that potential. And we don't just ignore it and say, I'm just going to do nothing with my life.
Mm-hmm.
We're focused on, we start to notice what we're good at and how to apply that in service. And therefore, you get that whole idea of the potentiality movement of the 80s, of fulfilling what you're born to do. But it's all tied towards a spiritual path.
What was that? The potentiality movement
of the 80s.
I'm unfamiliar with that. In the 80s, I was not achieving my potential.
Google that. I didn't make that up.
Where'd you dig that one up? It's Raghunath throwing new stuff out there. You heard a podcast or something. But in any case, he's going to talk about the principles. That's kind of what you're talking about, right? He's got the principles he lives by, principles that the ashram, follows with integrity, with that spiritual community follows with integrity. I think it'll be good stuff. We should mention that Nancy's mentioning that there's a noon recovery class today. That's kind of a new thing now. There's a Thursday at noon.
Thursday at noon.
If people that's for the Bhakti Recovery Group. If people want to know more about that, you write to bhaktirecoverygroup@gmail.com. You can get
bhaktirecoverygroup@gmail.com. It's a great thing. It's not set it's not just for persons who have struggled with alcohol addiction. It's any type of things where you feel like I have some type of thing that's controlling me, and we want to come into a sacred circle and share in confidence and share what's going on deep down in you, and it's very supportive. And these group leaders have been doing it for a long time, and it's taking off for a good reason, because part of cleaning a house is things get a little dirty, right? And so things come up, and that's part of getting clean. That's okay. And we're really grateful for this recovery program. Whatever you feel is like a deep-seated addiction. I'm just addicted to the material world. That's my problem. I'm trying to become more addicted to the spiritual world, and I realize I am a work in progress. I've had a lot of realizations this week, Kaustubha.
It sounds like you've been working on your human potential.
Well, there was a whole huge potentiality movement in the 80s.
I'm aware of that.
It was in the 60s, I think, or it rose out of the 60s, according to Wikipedia.
Raghu caught on to it in the 80s, though.
I was born in the 60s. Cut me some slack. But I told you at the end of the show what I'm working on for my Makeover Monday. You want to hear it again, Kaustubha? It's actually very good.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Well, because here's my thing I've been struggling with my entire life.
Oh.
And all of you on Zoom already probably know it. I am overwhelmed by Rajas and Tamas.
Okay.
I am hitting my head against the ceiling of Sattva, and I cannot get in. It is like I can't get in Sattva. I'm a mess. My head's all over the place.
I remember what you said. So you're folding your clothes nicely. That's like...
So my room, I'm trying to keep very clean. I'm folding my clothes. I never fold my clothes. You know what I do with my clothes? I crumble them in balls and shove them places.
I've noted
Shove
that.
them in drawers. You know that? You know
Sometimes
people
you don't even shove them in drawers. You just kind of like throw them around the
just
room.
throw them around the room. I stack a shirt on a hook, and then I'll stack 12 more on top of it. It's like an animal. It's like an animal. And then my desk is always like a mess. I'm trying to keep my desk clean before I go to bed at night. And then the final one was treat today like it's your last 5 years of your life. Like today it's part of in 5 years my life is going to be over. What are you going to do today? It's
5
been
years.
it's been very powerful.
Okay.
5 years.
I like
5 years
that.
because yeah.
Maybe you ought to shorten it a little bit, like 1 year. What about that? Or because you're planning
Well,
also.
I worked with a therapist. I have a
Oh,
therapist.
okay.
I have a therapist now, a devotee therapist.
All right.
And the more I work with a therapist, the more I realize, I always, people tend to think like you work with a therapist, you must be crazy. Wrong. You don't work with a therapist, you're crazy. That's what I feel like. You don't work with a therapist, then you're crazy.
All right. I suppose you sound a little crazy right now. But and so it's the therapist that got you on this fold your clothes thing?
Yeah, she got me that. Yeah. Well, she didn't tell me what to do. She just said, "Well, what can you do to get over your ADD, brain all over the place, limiting your potentiality?"
And you came up with fold the clothes.
I said, "Well, I can fold the clothes and clean my desk and keep my room clean."
I like it.
Okay. I'll just keep you guys posted on how I'm doing.
Okay. But you know what I was just thinking, Raghu?
What?
Life is short. Time to read the Bhagavatam.
Time to read the Bhagavatam. Thank you, my friend.
All right.
Before we read the Bhagavatam, we have to check in with our secret mantras. Our mantras of appreciation for the Bhagavatam. And this is the code to get in that will unlock the offering. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnanatamurandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we're sitting here at the Bhagavatam class with a new chapter. I tell you, Kaustubha, every day we turn on this Zoom thing, I'm always expecting like no one's going to be on today. Do you ever go through that? Like no one's going to be here today? They're here.
No, I mean, every day people are here.
I don't know. Maybe I trained myself in the band days. Like when you get to a club, you think like, no one's going to show up. And then people show up and you're like, all right, not bad.
All right.
All right, let's do this.
So we start chapter 19. This is the final chapter of the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
The appearance of Sukadeva Goswami, and what an outfit he has on.
It's true.
He's wearing his birthday suit.
They call it, what is it, clothed by the four directions?
Clothed by the four directions. I wonder if they offered him clothes, and he was just like, no, I don't want.
No,
Like,
they didn't offer him clothes. It was just like...
when you're children, you're like, when you're dealing with children, Kaustubha, you don't have children, but imagine, okay, look what I bought you, a little shirt.
No,
Like, no, I'm not
It
wearing
was
clothes.
everything was just right when he walked in there. The fact that he was naked, it was just like people weren't even thinking about it. It was just like, whoa, Sukadeva Goswami.
Did Sukadeva Goswami have one of those like mystical births where he wouldn't get out of the womb?
Yes, he spent a long time in there.
How long?
You want to go right to that kind of stuff.
Well, you know what?
It said that he stayed in there for 16 years, I believe.
I find that hard to believe.
I know you do.
But you know what? I don't know everything.
There you
I
go.
don't know everything. There's a lot of like weird cases. Like, if I haven't checked medical records of things, there's a lot of things I don't know.
Yeah.
But
What to speak of if
it is
things took
peculiar.
what to think
Maybe
of if things took place ages ago.
what's that?
What to speak of if things took place a long, 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 long time where things could have been different.
Yeah. So it says he didn't leave the womb, and why didn't he?
Or was
leave?
it 12 years? I think it was
You know
12
what?
years.
Let's just crack this.
How's
open.
that? Is that
I'm
more
gonna do
believable? 12 years? Is that easier?
No, it's all unbelievable. But the thing is, everything's unbelievable. You know what I mean? A parakeet. If you've never seen a parakeet or a quetzal, you know what a quetzal is? One of those.
Quetzal or Quetzal?
Quetzal is a bird.
I've seen a pretzel.
No, Mara. Quetzal. The Inca. Um, I'm just saying, if you've never seen a peacock, they're fascinating. It's unbelievable.
Right.
But real.
If someone told you about one and you had never seen one, you'd be like, that doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. It's too crazy. It's got like eyeballs on the feathers and little same things on its head. It's unbelievable. There's a lot of unbelievable things going on in Vedic lore. We don't know. It's out of this world. So if there's a child that wants to remain in the womb for 12 years, what do I know? I've come to the conclusion that I'm not that bright.
Oh, I disagree.
Various people on the Zoom can clarify that. Thank you, Mara. She says a quetzal are strikingly colored birds from the Trogon family. They are found in forests, especially in human highlands.
Could you look up Trogon for us? Just kidding.
Just
We're going to
now.
go down a Fibonacci spiral here. Not careful. Okay, let's start reading, huh?
Okay. Sri Sutta Goswami said, so Sutta is the leader of all these sages, and he's giving a talk right now to all these like liberated souls.
You know what? Maybe even before we start, we could focus in here, okay? Because we mentioned, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but like some of the lessons that were coming out of this pastime here of the king, a little out of character, way out of character.
Yeah.
Garlanding the sage with the dead snake.
A very noble king, like a righteous king, a king everybody appreciated and loved. He was considered a sage of kings. But he did something like not so savory. There was a person in meditation, and he put a dead snake around his neck because he felt invalidated.
Invalidated. I never heard it put that way, but okay, gotcha. Yeah, he was fatigued, he was thirsty, he wasn't himself, and when the sage was in such deep meditation, he didn't recognize that. He's just like, "Where's the water? I need some help over here."
He was hangry. He was hangry.
Okay, so then he saw a dead snake. He put it around the sage who was still in meditation. Then he later regretted that. And then the sage, when he woke up, he saw the snake. He wasn't at all offended by it. But his son was.
Right.
And then his son cursed him. He got cursed to die. He didn't make a big deal about it. Right? He accepted it. The sage didn't feel offended. Rather, the sage felt like, why did you curse him? This is bad. So there's some lessons that we're going to take out of that. We're going to hear some more of them as they come out today too, and in the following days. But I wrote down 4. You want to hear these, Raghu?
Yeah.
And these are 4 things, because this is wisdom of the sages. So we're hearing about sages. We're hearing about wise people. And these are some life lessons here.
How do wise people live?
How do they live?
What are the principles? What are the boundaries wise people do? So Kaustubha, being wise himself, extracted the wisdom, just like a swan can extract milk from a swamp.
No, it's first of all, Bhagavatam's not a swamp. Let's be clear about that.
Good point. Bad analogy.
There's a weakness in the analogy. But no, I'm not a wise person. I'm trying to be a wise person, and so we can learn so much from Bhagavatam. So number 1, we see here that wise people can see curses as blessings, and that's going to really come out today because Maharaj Parikshit's going to be like, oh, that's fine that I got cursed to die. This is actually good. He's going to say this is a good thing. Right. So number one,
Imagine
wise
that.
people can.
Just seeing that as a blessing. You're going to be cursed to die in 7 days. Maharaj Prickett was, okay, now I know. Now the mystery is gone. Now I can just get to work. Imagine that. As horrible as that sounds, and people always say, oh, God forbid. As hard as there's another relief also. Like, okay, now forget all these plans I had. I was going to take that road trip. I was going to Iceland. I got 7 days. What am I going to do?
It's a good thing.
It's like my therapist. It's like my therapist said. You got 5 years.
Okay,
You got 5 years.
5 years.
What are you going to do, Raghunath?
Right. This is 7 days. And it reminds me also of that, and going back to that, when Joe Rogan, when you said, I was ready to die. You're telling that story about like how you got beaten down by all these guys and you're bloody and you felt like I might die right now. And you're like, it's okay. Right?
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay to die today. It's a
So
good day to die.
wise people can see curses as blessings. He's going to get cursed. He sees it as a blessing. Okay. Number two, wise people recognize that sometimes good people act out of character and are inclined to overlook another's faults.
Wise people are inclined to overlook another's faults. That is good thinking. Training your mind in good thinking. Someone does something, even people that you respect, and they screw up, you know what you do? You overlook it. You overlook it quick.
Yeah. If we're not able to do that individually and what to speak of like as a society, then we just fight.
We just can't.
And we can't accomplish anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wise people don't shine light on other people's faults.
Yeah, they see the good, right? And that's what the sage Shamika, who he got the snake placed around him. It said that he came out of his meditation. He just took the snake and he put it down. He didn't even think twice about it. Oh, he put that snake out. No big deal. He's a great king. He's done so much for us. He's not making a big deal about that snake, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then number three, wise people acknowledge their own misbehavior and feel a purifying sense of repentance through that.
It's a practice.
It's a practice, right?
Noticing our blind spots, I call it.
Okay.
Noticing our blind spots. I tend to have some blind, like in the car, you have a blind spot. You got to stick your head out the window. So what we do in Bhakti is we sort of stick our head out the window. We start to notice, hey, Kaustubha, when I said that, was that off? Was that offensive? Was that rude?
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just go on plowing through people's lives, oblivious. Mara, when I said that publicly, was that rude, Mara? If I did, please forgive me, Mara. Stuff like that.
Okay. And then number four, wise people are predisposed to acknowledge their own offense towards another and ill-disposed to accept another's offense towards them.
Okay, that's sort of the converse.
Yeah.
Say that again. Say the last part again.
Ill-disposed.
Ill-disposed.
To accept another's offense towards themselves.
Yeah, we don't take offense.
We don't take offense.
We take offense.
But we're quick to acknowledge, quick to apologize. That's part of your 6 pillars, right?
Quick to apologize and take no offense.
Yeah.
So take no offense. It's a tough one, especially if you've been let down in early childhood. That's what I find. Let down.
So this therapist is really having an effect on you, right? We're getting a lot of new Raghunath stuff here. Okay, let's hear about that.
Let down in early childhood means I'm running a theory that people can't be trusted. And then I finally turn my heart over to this new person in my life. They're going to be different, but I'm running a theory. My theory is people will let you down. And therefore you can never, it stops you from having deep relationships with people because you keep things very surface. But the thing is, people are screwed up. People have issues. People are fallible. But I have to be, extend understanding. I have to extend understanding. And I have to learn not to be sticky. When I see something wrong, I shouldn't there it is. See, I knew they'd let me down. People sometimes are looking to be offended. They're looking, no matter what you say. Ever find that with people?
Yeah, I've sometimes I'm like that myself.
You say something. Sometimes you say something like, "Hey, man, nice shirt." What do you mean by that? Nothing. I mean, you got a nice shirt. Well, you didn't like the shirt I was wearing yesterday? I didn't say that. I just said I like the shirt you're wearing today. So sometimes people want to be hurt.
All right.
It's a problem. And the problem is it really doesn't work in bhakti because holding on to resentments will keep a very low ceiling for our evolution.
Okay.
And so and like the 12 step is parallel. It's the same. It's not parallel. It's the same fucking thing. Is you have to let go of the resentments in your heart. You have to go through the people you've hurt, or that have hurt you rather. And you have to you have to make amends, and then 2, you have to relinquish any resentment you have for them.
Nice. So we see that number 1, wise people can see curses as blessings. That was Pariksit. He got cursed to die in 7 days by the lethal bite of the snake bird. And he said,
Flying snake.
I can see that as a blessing. Then number 2, wise people recognize that sometimes good people act out of character and they're inclined to overlook that. That's Shamaka Rishi, right? Put a snake on me. There's no big deal. He's a great king. I'm not going to make a big deal out of this. Let it go. Number 3, wise people acknowledge their own misbehavior and feel a purifying sense of repentance. We're going to hear about that today, right?
Yeah.
Maharaj Pariksit was like, look what I've done. I offended this person. This is wrong. I got to own that, right?
Yeah.
And then 4, wise people are predisposed to acknowledge their own offense towards another.
Yep.
Ill-disposed to accept another's offense towards themselves. We see that go in both directions here. That Maharaj Pariksit was like, I offended him by putting that snake on him. I got cursed, so that's no big deal.
Yeah.
Right? Shamaka Rishi was like, if he put a snake on me, no big deal. But
big deal.
no, but my son cursed him. I got to own that. That's a big deal, right? So all of this is coming out in this past time. Okay, shall we start?
Good, great. You extracted
some life lessons there.
some life lesson.
Okay, maybe there's more coming up. Let's see if we can find some more.
So Sutta Goswami speaking now.
Okay.
While returning home, the king felt that the act he had committed against the faultless and powerful Brahmana was heinous and uncivilized. Consequently, he was distressed. So there you got it. The king himself realized, I was obtuse. What have I done? I've made an offense.
It's heinous.
Heinous crime. And he was repentant. We talked about repentance and the power within bhakti to not beat yourself up repeatedly, but just say, you know what? I did something wrong. I got to move forward now.
This is the commentary. The pious king regretted his accidental, improper treatment of the powerful Brahmana, who was faultless. Right? Such repentance, and this is going because you got asked about repentance the other day. Remember last Saturday?
It's great.
There's a lot coming out about repentance here. It's not about guilting someone or anything like that. It's about really understanding what I've done that's wrong. Such repentance is natural for a good man like the king, and such repentance delivers a devotee from all kinds of sins accidentally committed. It has to do with your intention, right? Yeah. It's even less about your action than your intention. And if you clarify that, like, you know what, it's that internal state that's important, and that can be adjusted through repentance. The devotees are naturally faultless. Accidental sins are committed by a devotee are sincerely regretted. And by the grace of the Lord, all sins, all that bad karma, unwillingly committed by a devotee are burnt in the fire of repentance. Nice, right?
Yeah.
Burn it up.
It's great.
Burn, baby, burn.
You never...
You like that?
That was my cue.
Oh, you're gonna...
No, it's great. It's great to sit with, that was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. What was I thinking? And sit with that and let it... it's not like people are into this thing like, oh, don't live in your guilt and in your shame. You know what? If you did something wrong, feel the pain of it and move forward. You don't have to sit with it. You don't have to bathe in that for days. but you sit with it and you feel the, or else we just never change. You just big deal. I'm over it. I'm not going to feel any guilt. Is and you got. I'm open to correction. By the way, I think it's good to feel guilty if you've done something wrong. It's good to be ashamed if you've done something horrible. But then move forward and get out of that shame and get out of that guilt. Move forward with appropriate behavior.
That's right. It's a way of actually dealing with it rather than just ignoring it or covering it up, or right. You gotta deal with it.
Or justifying it and justifying it. Like,
Just rationalizing.
We all make mistakes.
Yeah, we talked about rationalizing the other day. Remember that?
Yeah.
It's the intelligence in support,
And I think
in
it's good
service of the false ego.
I think it's good. And whenever I have like someone like Kaustubha, like someone like you, because I'm talking to you, someone like Kaustubha, you know, it's like if you ever, because sometimes Kaustubha and myself will correct each
We
other.
open up a little
I
bit.
think you should have done it like this. I think you should have. And whenever Kaustubha corrects me about something, and I give him full carte blanche to correct me with anything, I just shut up and hear it. It's just sort of a practice. If a person practicing bhakti, especially a peer, but or an elder, correct me, I just hear it. Even if I sometimes don't even like a person who's maybe senior to me or something like that, I still hear it because I feel like there's a flow of mercy trickling down, and if we have to put ourselves in this position where we can just hear that and accept it and see it coming from God. And so, okay. I mean, if you ask somebody who hates your guts what they think of you, you're going to get some warped reflection of reality. But people who are like sincerely practicing bhakti, I want those people to give me feedback, because I have a tendency to justify any inappropriate behavior I do. I need proper feedback so I can correct myself and get better.
Nice. I want to be more like that. You're really good at that, Raghu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
See, I can give you a little compliment too, along with all my corrections. Right?
You give me a rose and a thunderbolt.
Okay.
I'll take that little rose.
Text number 2.
Mara, I hope I give you a rose occasionally, Mara, not just thunderbolts.
Yes,
I'm like Lord Indra. Mara. Okay, text 2. King Prickett thought, due to my neglecting the injunctions of the Supreme Lord, I must certainly expect some difficulty to overcome me in the near future. So he's owning full responsibility, and he's saying, I'm gonna get some pain for this.
That's the way it works. That's the way the world's designed. Right?
You don't get away with things
Yeah.
in the material world. We tend to think like, I'm going to get away with this. You're not. You don't get away with anything in the material world. Everything is balanced. For lifetimes. For lifetimes. We don't like to have that personal responsibility with things, but we're responsible. Due to my neglecting the injunctions of the Supreme Lord, I must certainly expect some difficulty to overcome me in the near future. I now desire, without reservation, that the calamity come now.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. For in this way I may be freed of the sinful action and not commit such an offense again.
I want to grow through this. Right?
Wow.
He's accepting that curse is a blessing. Right there. Life lesson
He
number
has
1.
every right, right? In the material world, we'd be like, come on, this isn't fair.
He could have rationalized it.
I did a snake prank. You're going to kill me for that? I'm going to be killed. That's completely unfair. You know, this is completely, could start a whole movement about his own justice and, you know, justice for kings doing snake pranks. The fact is, he accepted it. I offended a Brahmana. Bring it on. I gotta get some karma for this.
He wants to grow, right?
I want to grow. And not only is he going to grow, he's going to become liberated, and it's going to be the best of the worst. right? It's the worst.
The curse becomes a
To
blessing.
die, and it's the best. And that's the magic of bhakti again. Make this your fifth point today, Kaustubha. The
What's that?
magic of bhakti is once you put Krishna, spiritual evolution, sweet baby Krishna in your life, even the worst thing, I guess that is the first one you said.
I was going to wait to.
I was like, I did it. I extracted something good from this. I'm smart too.
It's like we already covered that, Raghu, in number 1.
I was like, I'm having a breakthrough.
No, it was good. It was good.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, text number 3. This is an interesting text too. This goes back to a lot of what was covered earlier in the.
Here he is. He's going to get real deep about it. I am uncivilized and sinful due to my neglect of Brahminical culture, God consciousness, and cow protection. He brought cow protection into this.
No, well, he's saying as a king, I have 3 responsibilities.
Oh, okay.
To the dvija, to the deva, and to the gobhyaḥ, right? To Brahminical culture, to God, and becoming more conscious of God, and to the cows.
Write that on the board, Kaustubha.
Dvija-deva-gobhyaḥ?
Dvija-deva-gobhyaḥ.
Gobhyaḥ.
Dvija-deva-gobhyaḥ.
There you go.
To the Brahminical culture, to the gods and God.
And so then he continues, Therefore,
I wish that my kingdom, strength, and riches burn up immediately.
whoa,
By the fire of the Brahmana's wrath, so that in the future I may not be guided by such inauspicious attitudes.
okay. So he's saying, I'm the king. Imagine if our politicians really deeply thought like this, right? If they said, it's my duty to have an auspicious attitude, right? He's saying, I got confused and I let go of the auspicious attitude. I adopted an inauspicious attitude, but I have responsibilities. I have responsibility to Brahminical culture, and I want to talk about that a bit. I have responsibility to the elevation of God consciousness, and this thing, it sounds like a random thing, but it's such a fundamental thing to care for the cows, right? It's saying, first of all, Brahminical culture. Let's not mistake this, right? It's not saying that it's his job as the king to maintain the privilege of a certain class of society. What it's saying is that the care for Brahminical culture, it means it's my duty to make sure that there's a culture of wisdom and truth that's alive in society, right? As a king, I'm meant to protect that, to see that that's being cultivated, to get behind that, to put in whatever resources are necessary for that, because everyone's going to benefit from that, right?
It's the highest welfare work.
Highest welfare work, that knowledge, right? The sharing of knowledge. And so if we go back, what is that Brahminical culture? And we've gone to this verse again, or in the past, we've gone to it from the 18th chapter of the Gita. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work. So he's saying, part of my duty as a king is to see to it that is cultivated in our society, that is protected, and that its influence spreads in society. So he's saying that's one responsibility I have. He says I also have a responsibility of God consciousness, to see that God consciousness is something that, care for the cultivation, of the recognition that there's a divine root that unites everything and everyone. And as the consciousness of that grows, we're able to live like this, right? Where I can see the good on others and accept more responsibility myself because of that faith, And then the cows, because the cows, the king's responsible for the economy of the people, right? The king is responsible to make sure that people, economically are living well. And that means this kind of king says the cow is the gift of God. The cow is like this beautiful, loving creature that cares for us. We need to care for it. And if we care for it, it provides our food, our power, our clothing, our fuel. It provides everything if we just not exploit it, But just like people nowadays love their dogs, right? With full on, emotion, right? To love and care for the cows with that, to recognize the gifts they're bringing, and to say it's our responsibility to care for them. I have to make sure, then we'll be economically fine. That's an economic model by which we can not exploit and damage the earth, and which we can live peaceful, pure lives. So he's saying, I've neglected those things. I deserve the wrath. Bring it on, right?
Yeah.
And particularly the one he's saying I neglected here was I didn't care for the dvijas, for the sages, right? Those wise Brahminical people. I put a snake around him. That's what I did, right? Rather than show my appreciation, which he had lived a whole life of nothing but appreciation and protection and respect. But he made one little mistake, and he put the microscope on that. Like you said the other day, right? Yoga culture is about turning the microscope on oneself. He said, look what I did. I didn't respect it. I deserve it. Bring it on. I'm ready for it.
Yeah. So I guess maybe the fifth piece of wisdom we could extract.
Oh, here we go. Yeah,
Extract.
what you got?
Don't prank the Brahmins. Don't prank the Brahmins.
Don't prank the Brahmins. Okay.
Great thing to say. That's my takeaway today. Don't prank
the Brahmins. Now, what in the commentary, Prabhupada says, progressive human civilization is based on Brahminical culture, God consciousness, and protection of cows. All economic development of the state by trade, commerce, agriculture, and industries must be fully utilized in relation to the above principles. Otherwise, and now this is where we all have to look at ourselves, right? Look at our own world. Otherwise, all so-called economic development becomes a source of degradation. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really hard to understand the blessing of the cow in a culture that we have today. Even people who do, gentleman farming today, you can't really get it pre-tractor. You got to understand what life pre-tractor, pre-hydraulics,
motor
pesticides,
engines,
herbicides, fungicides. You got to get it. And
You know
it's
what we
hard to
should do?
understand because we live in a completely different world. That dung of the cow makes the soil 80% more fertile. The dung itself is worth. It's like the most valuable thing from the cow. We're not even talking about even the milk products of the cow. We're talking about just living with the cow. What to speak of if if Kaustubha's coming upstate. Sometimes you see these stone walls around here are like stone walls. They're like massive stones. It's like, who moves these? The bulls move them. This is what you did. So if you had things you wanted to move, the bulls work. They were the tractors. Or if you cut a tree in the forest and you need to haul that tree back, you can't even get a tractor to go in the woods to do that. So there is a symbiotic relationship with animals that we've lost touch with. We just know how to exploit them.
Right.
So
And
we're in a pendulum swing. Like, okay, we've hurt them. Now we want nothing to do with them. But there can be I know because I've got a dog and I've never trained this dog and he's a super smart dog.
Gus?
Someone like Gus, he's not that, he's smart, but I never trained him in smart things to do. He can barely lay down. But like Pro Bose, he's like a horse guy. He'll talk to the horses. He'll have the horses do.
horse whisperer.
He's a horse whisperer. The horse can do things. They talk back to him. He's got this rapport with animals. So it's like, I know there's a whole thing with like when you have these dogs that are trained to do things and then you retire them, they get depressed because they have functions in this world. Like my dog is a retriever. He's a lab, but they're meant to retrieve things and they want to do it. And they're meant to be engaged in certain ways. And there's a dog potentiality movement too. Every animal has a potential, and they want.
When did that one begin?
That's ancient.
Okay, it goes back.
Dogs have a potential, and just like me, I have a potential, and I want to live that potential, and I want to feel fulfilled. If I'm doing what I'm not meant to do in this world, or just like neglecting things that I can do, I will feel less than.
Yeah.
And I can tell my dog's a little bored. I gotta teach him some
You
tricks.
gotta entertain that dog. If people need to see and live on farms where they actually care for the animals, not exploit or kill them, but love them, and work with them cooperatively. You know that there's a monk at the Govardhan Eco Village named Nandanandana, Sri Nandanandana. You know him? He's the one that he takes care of all the cows.
No, no.
He's like the
Oh yeah.
he's one of the main 4 guys
Yeah.
that runs that whole Govardhan Eco Village, and particularly the animals he's responsible for. And he's like a brilliant man. He's like, he actually does like the whole, like all of the financial stuff. Yeah, I'm so bad with this guy. What do you call that? Like, he does all the books.
Counting.
Accountant. He's the accountant for the Govardhan Eco Village.
money.
But he does that at the end of the month, like just like in 2 days or something like that. But most of the time he's with the earth, with the cows, and he goes in. He'll just like, all the cows are there, and he'll call out to like a cow by name, that's like 40 yards away or something. He'll call that cow, and that cow just comes, just like you call your dog. That cow comes running to him,
Because
which is
there's love.
full love and trust, and then he'll take that cow and he'll start to like go over the body of the cow and pick off any little tick, and sometimes he'll see there's some, like, I've seen him do this, there's something in the eye of the cow, like a little tick in there or something, and he gets right in there, and he'll have his head like totally vulnerable, because like they're so powerful, and if he just moves it, and that horn will like take his eye out, but he gets right up there because he trusts the cow trusts him. They have this loving relationship back and forth, and together they go out and graze, and together they go out and they work the field, and the cows are you see and you experience that loving relationship, and it's that loving relationship again that facilitates all the power that you need, all the fuel that you need, all the food that you need, the clothes that you need, the everything is through that relationship.
Vedic rituals which use like ghee, or Ayurvedic medicine which is used as ghee as the carrier
The
oil.
medicine that you need, yeah. And if
What
you
to speak of-
don't,
what to speak of?
yeah.
The who needs Roundup? You know what they do for pesticides and herbicides? They
Urine.
mix cow urine with water. It's like a certain percentage to water, and they
Spray that
spray
around?
that on all the leaves.
Yeah.
Mara's
And-
like, I'm never eating a salad again.
But instead we spray chemicals on them.
Yeah, you don't think that's got an effect? That's got an effect. Look,
eh.
this brings up 2 interesting points, Prabhu.
Yeah.
I forgot one of them already. Oh, one is, can you have that symbiotic relationship exclusively with cows? Maybe cows are just for that.
Not exclusively.
No, I'm just saying because
All the
there's a
animals.
movie of that guy that lived with the bears.
And got
And
killed by the
He was
bear.
friends with the bears, but they eventually killed him. The grizzly man. I think
Cows don't do that.
I know. I don't think cows do that. So maybe it's just a thing with cows.
I haven't heard of cows doing it.
But there are people who work with wild, like ferocious animals too. I'm not.
Well,
I
but,
don't-
okay, but you don't build the state's economy on that. But the state's economy,
This is
the
my
villages.
different point. You were saying about plucking things out of their eyes and becoming.
Okay.
All right,
I'm
my
just
next-
saying.
my
Well,
next-
what I'm
next
trying.
thing-
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, your next thing. Go ahead.
My next thing is, I knew a guy, and vegans cover your ears here, but this guy had a cow, and he was the calf. I kid you not. He was the cow's calf.
Where are we going with this?
The
Okay.
cow gave milk to him. He gave milk for 7 years to this guy.
Well, you're saying the cow had no baby, but it gave milk.
Cow had no baby, but he gave milk to him.
Okay, that was an important detail to include there because I had no idea what you were talking about. The cow had no child, so it shouldn't be giving milk. But
It shouldn't
because
be
it had
giving milk.
so much affection for this
He
person,
had so
it's
much
giving milk.
affection. Just like there's women who can what's it called?
Lactate.
That's the word. Mara's like, yes, Raghunath. Don't say it. A woman can lactate if it's an adopted child.
Oh wow, okay.
That's a thing.
So the cow adopted him with
Yeah,
motherly
they had
affection.
very sweet. I would see them interact. It was incredibly sweet.
Right. That's amazing. So again, the point here is that if you don't have that symbiotic, loving relationship, and this is just the point. I genuinely, sincerely appreciate the sensitivity and the integrity of people that adopt a vegan diet, right?
There's a lot of integrity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also believe that if we don't live this cooperative, loving, caring relationship with the animals, particularly with the cows, then you have to take that violence that our modern society aims at the animals, and you have to aim it at the earth, because then you have to open up that whole another
Petroleum-
world,
The petroleum world.
petroleum-based world, where you're digging into, you're sucking all the oil out of the earth, you're refining it and polluting the world. You're polluting, it's a whole nother thing. And we've got to share this video called The Sacred Cow. I'll share it on Patreon. I think it's up on YouTube somewhere. And it really shows, like, once you open that door to, like, oh, we're going to do this all by tractors, it's just like everything starts going down. It's one thing after another. It's like a Pandora's box.
It's like
right?
a Pandora's box.
Yeah, it's just, whether it be pollution, whether it be the way that people live. I used to work, people used to live in nature, working on farms, where it was good for your health, it was good for your mind, and now they're all working in factories and refineries, right? You just shift, the tractor can do the work of so many men. Okay, but you got to take all those men and you got to put them to work in a factory, in a refinery.
Yeah.
It's
there's a ripple effect of inauspicious results.
Yeah.
You like that? A
Ripple effect of inauspicious results.
Write that one down, Mary. You like that one? You can use it.
Number 5.
Number 5.
So this culture, this yoga culture, was based on this. So the king was saying, as the politician, as the political leader, I need to, one, care for the Brahminical culture, protect, give resources to cultivate, a culture of wisdom within the culture, within our broader society. I need to see that there's this doesn't have to be a sectarian thing, but some recognition of God consciousness and the principles of God consciousness, because that's what unites people, right? To recognize the divine root that's providing our sun, our moon, our water, our earth, our everything, and seeing that principle working within the hearts of every living being. That's where peace will come from, when we recognize that divine root. And that Bhagavad Gita peace formula, right? The last verse of the 5th chapter, you can find it. And then third, care for the cows, right? That our economy is based on the cows, but it can't be exploitive. It has to be loving. And if that loving connection is there, then we don't have to exploit and damage the earth. We can live a loving relationship with the animals and have a.
Probose calls it the oxytocin, which is the cuddle hormone.
It releases good hormones when you got those loving relationships.
Created by the pituitary gland. The cuddle hormone, or the love hormone, because it's released when people snuggle up or bond socially.
You, Raghunath, you are just like you're just a well. You are a mine of incredible information. Well, anyway, I'm coming to visit that landmine today.
Yeah,
I'm coming upstate.
Women, we're gonna make no-bake cookies, a little pillow fighting.
All right. That was a cue, by the way. You missed it, but.
Oh man, I thought we had 20 minutes, man. Keep saying something profound, because I was what?
Well, I'm just looking forward to seeing everybody else. Bob is picking me up. Looking forward to seeing. I haven't seen Bob since we split up in the airport back in February. All right, coming back from India.
That was hard. Hey, check this out. We've created a platform where, if you like what we're doing on Wisdom of the Sages, you can make a monthly pledge of your choice. Your choice. Okay. And then you enter into the online school filled with live classes, and then the vault of yoga wisdom, metaphysical mentors, transcendental teachers, other planetary presenters, swamis, mommies, workshops on everything from studying kirtan, Ayurveda, meditation, Ayurvedic cooking, sacred stories, karma theory. I love karma theory.
What is this karma theory?
It's a theory. It's just a theory. As well as we have 12-step Bhakti recovery group growing rapidly. If you're a Patreon member and you feel like you're getting something, if you're already a Patreon member and you feel like you're getting something substantial out of this, then you can always have the ability to up your pledge. Upping your pledge is sometimes you feel like, well, I'm just going to up
We're
it.
gonna always get into all this financial stuff.
Well, this is part of it, man. It's a community.
Just tell people go in there. They'll see what it is.
They up their pledge, and maybe nothing to them. It's a lot to us. Thanks for everybody who's already helping this boat float. We love having you here every morning, my accountability posse. I think today is going to be a great day. That's how I'm feeling today. I've got these 5 pillars here that you can't. 4, and then the one I added. I want to give myself a little credit for that, right, Kaustubha? What's
I
my
love
favorite?
it.
I said?
What was it about?
Don't prank the Brahmins.
Don't prank the Brahmins.
Maybe the most important of these.
And also,
Never.
I would give you credit for number 6 too. Release the love hormone.
Release the cuddle hormone, the love hormone. Let's call it the cuddle hormone.